jungle known as Titan Talks Wrestling, live from the Ski Convention. Motherfucker.
You're watching Titan Talks Wrestling, live from Michigan.
Now, live from Muskegon, Michigan, this is Titan Talks Wrestling.
Like, comment, subscribe, or pivot faction.
And welcome back to Tiger Talks Wrestling, guys. I know it's been close to a month, but we are back on. Joining me today is a man who I've been wanting to bring on here, but was just waiting for that right time to bring him on here, even though some people thought he should have been on sooner. The future of BCW, that is, if they have a future come When Worlds Collide 2. The lone wolf himself, Mr. Jack Brown. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be here. Talk about the future of BCW, if they have one, future of NWF. Hopefully they have one. You know, it's going to be a good talk.
This should be a good show. We'll see how many questions we get for this first 30 minutes that we're doing fan interactive Q&A. Gunshot says, hey, he's the only person in the chat section so far.
What's going on?
We're doing fan interactive Q&A. Gunshot says, hey, he's the only person in the chat section so replays, yay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get into a couple questions I actually had sent to me from one individual who sends in questions for all my shows pretty much. That being the owner of NUW, Newburgh Underground Wrestling himself, the king of the mountain, Navon McDonald.
All right, let's get into it.
Now, his first question for you is, if given the opportunity, would you ever travel to any other federations to wrestle?
I mean, yeah, I would. I guess it depends on if it was like a one-time thing, and if it was, how far away it would be. But I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely open to it. I've definitely tried and looked into it, but just hasn't gotten to that point yet.
Gotcha. He also wondered, do you watch any other friends?
I do. I've actually seen some of Navon's matches. I've seen some VTW. I've seen, and then obviously like the big stuff like WWE and New Japan and all that stuff. But I'm not like super into all the other stuff. Most of my time is spent like analyzing my matches and like how I can improve and go from there.
Nice. Gunshot says not much, but does anybody else think Mark Williams is kind of a douche?
I don't know if the kind of needed to be in that sentence.
Yeah, not sure either sometimes, but hey, I'll be in it. All right, Navon's next question. What's your dang secret at the gym?
It's no secret. I just got lucky with genetics, I guess. I've always been big since I was little. It's weird because no one else in my family's big, so.
Yeah. The second part of that question was like, how do I get as fit as you without breaking something off my body?
I don't know. I mean, at this point, it's just a lot of dedication to try and get bigger and build more muscle, but.
Gunshot's question, would you ever face Extreme Lucha? He says, I'm sure he means Extreme Luchador, or Extreme Loser, as I like to refer to him as.
Extreme Loser. I like that better.
All right.
Yeah, I would. I don't know how much of a match it would be, but I mean, I'd face him.
Why not, right?
Yeah, never gotten a shot at him.
All right. And the last thing that Navon had, it's kind of more of a statement than it is a question. It says, JB, is it all right if I can call you that?
Yeah.
You should know that the rivalry between you and Jason Page has made me a fan. What amazing action. Keep up the great work and tell all them shiesty bitches they better come correct. Because if they don't, they'll feel the power of J motherfucking B.
Oh, yeah. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. It's been a great rivalry, and, you know, didn't come out where I wanted to at Summer Bash, but I think we're going to talk about that a little later.
Yeah, we'll get to it. Let's see if they got any other questions in there. I'll go back into some questions I've had sent in before as well. But while I'm looking for things, of course, we've got One World's Glide 2 coming up here soon. What's your take on the main event of that match?
You know, it's going to be one of those matches where you're going to see stuff that I don't think we've ever seen from anyone in the match just because of how big the stakes are.
It's true.
I mean, it's hard for me to pick a side because, I mean, as much as I hate Mark Williams and Jason Page, I know how much BCW means to them, and I know how much NWF means to H2 and TZ. So it's going to be a war. I know that for sure.
I'm expecting those four guys to tear each other apart pretty much.
I think even the team that wins is going to struggle to walk out of there. It's going to be
and I have to agree.
A match.
Especially after seeing the lengths that the three of them and AJ went to at One World's Glide last year.
Yeah. And I mean, the stakes in that match were nowhere near what they are for this one.
It's true.
So it's going to be crazy for sure.
Like I said, I'll go back through a couple of these. Let's go with favorite WWE pay-per-view stage setup or favorite pay-per-view. Let's start with that first of all, that you like to watch.
Like recent pay-per-view or like of all time?
Yeah, pretty much all time.
I mean, I'm a sucker for WrestleMania. I love Mania and like the stage that Mania is on, how it's bigger than life and how everything that happens is just, I don't know. In recent years, it's gotten pretty predictable in a lot of spots, which sucks for Mania, but I think that's the pay-per-view I look forward to most every year, for sure. I don't know if I would have a favorite Mania. I mean, there's definitely been bad Manias, but I think there's been highs and lows in all of them for sure.
That's true. I'll go with this one. Who's somebody? They didn't ask it, and I didn't have it written down for my interview. Who's somebody in? Let's start with NWF first that you haven't gotten a chance to face yet that you look forward to hopefully getting in the ring with at some point, one-on-one.
I mean, at this point right now, I would say Extreme because he's got the belt. I want the belt. I mean, that's what I'm going for right now. I want gold. I want the belt around my waist, so I'm aiming for the top.
Response. I think, if I remember correctly, there's only maybe two guys from BCW that you haven't really faced one-on-one yet that we've seen anyways. So of course, we'll get into it. You faced Jacob Riley in your first match ever in BCW. We've seen you in there with Jason Page a few times and Mark Williams. I don't believe, if memory serves me correctly, we haven't seen you in there one-on-one with Father Time actually yet. It was supposed to happen, but we know we'll go into that later.
Yeah, it was supposed to happen, but didn't.
Yep. And then there's one other guy, current Mr. Race for the Case himself.
Mike Miller.
Yes.
Yeah, that's another match that I would like to have is with Mike Miller. I mean, he's a competitor and he goes out there and he fights every match, and I think that would be a good one for BCW for sure.
Okay. Gunshot wants to know if you would face Mr. Judgment. You even know who Judgment is.
I know who Judgment is. I mean, yeah, I would. He'd have to come up here. I mean, I'll face anyone. I'll get in the ring with anyone. I'm not scared of an opponent. I'm not gonna back down from a fight. So,
right. Going back through my notes again. Another question I thought was a good one that I've asked guys before. If you could resurrect one person from wrestling to come back for one more WrestleMania match, who would it be and why?
It would honestly be um, probably Shawn Michaels to come back for one more. I mean, I just loved him at Mania and like his match with Ric Flair, his matches with Undertaker. Like, I don't know. I guess the rumors are he's coming back for one more match, but I don't think it's going to be at Mania. So,
Actually, from what I've read, he might come back for 3 more matches, but
more?
yeah. Rumor is he'll be coming back for DX versus Brothers of Destruction tag match.
That's what I heard, yeah.
And then a match against Undertaker, possibly at Survivor Series, and then maybe a dream match at WrestleMania against AJ Styles. What's the latest rumors I've read?
I don't know.
That'd be interesting if it did happen.
Yeah, that was just one of those things where his retirement was perfect. Like, and he never came back and like wrestled after that. So, as much as I want to see him get back in the ring, I don't want him to like ruin that whole retirement thing.
Yeah, I agree with you because that's kind of what I thought too. And I read that he might be coming back out of retirement. I was like, I can understand the payday because from what it sounds like, he'd be getting paid a lot of money for the tag match in Saudi Arabia. But whatever, man.
Yeah, all these new big pay-per-views are just about money for WWE anyway. And it's annoying. They can do so much better with the talent they have.
Yeah, they rely on the legends too much.
Yeah.
But in a way, you can't really. Some parts can't blame them because they do seem to get more of a reaction than most of their current roster because they never give the current roster what they need to. But
yeah, that's true. It's hard to build new guys when you're stuck on all the old guys.
And when you're too stubborn to turn certain people heel or face and turn the ones that you shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. Roman Reigns, but
a familiar person that you know quite well says Jack Brown is the best. Jack Brown's number 1. Clap, clap, clap.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it. Was it who was it? H2?
Yep. There it was. All right. Let's go into what are some other hobbies besides wrestling for you?
I mean, I just like to stay active, being outside, playing sports. I love being on the water. So go out, day in the boat, whether it's fishing or wakeboarding or whatever it is. I just like to be outside and stay active. I mean, even in the winter, going snowboarding or just hanging out and going outside and stuff. Definitely working out, like we touched on that with Navon's questions earlier.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to stay active as much as I can, stay in shape for wrestling and keep progressing.
All right. Gunshot's next question was, hey, Jack Brown, are you going to watch BYW Mania 2 whenever that comes out?
I am looking forward to BYW Mania 2. Some of the matches on there have me intrigued. That has the 3 Kings match.
Yep.
If I'm right.
Yep.
That'll be a good match to see. I'm interested to see who comes out on top in that match for sure. I mean,
yeah. The interesting to see between Extreme Luchador, Jason Page, and
Mikey Nitro. Yeah.
You can lock it out.
Yeah. 2 guys I've gotten in the ring with, 1 I haven't.
Should be an interesting triple threat whenever that gets uploaded anyway.
Yeah. Good.
All right. Another question. What was the weirdest habit as a child that you had?
Weirdest habit as a child?
Yeah.
So, my older brother would always have his friends over, and I'd do like whatever they wanted so I could hang out with them. But they'd have me like run around and like run into stuff or like smash my head into stuff, and then they'd like put me in submission moves. So like they put me in like the walls of Jericho or like
nice
anything. and I'd just like let them do whatever they wanted to me just so I could hang out with them. I guess I guess that was a pretty bad habit. Just like doing stupid stuff to try and hang out with my older brother's friends.
Gotcha. Gunshot did say the match that he's most looking forward to seeing at BYW Mania 2 is Joe Razor versus FC3.
Yeah.
Might be an interesting match as well. I can honestly say I haven't seen a whole lot from most of the guys on BYW Mania 2, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen a whole bunch from a lot of the guys. The only match I was really familiar with is the Three Kings match. I've seen the promo packages for the other matches, but I haven't seen like full length matches of the guys. So
pretty much the same here. I'm gonna jump in. Who's been your favorite opponent, would you say, so far?
Favorite opponent? I mean, I'd have to go with Jason Page, just because I know every time I get in the ring, it's gonna be a battle. I'm gonna have to try and do something that I've never done before to beat him. And he pushes me to my limits, and then I know my limits, so I can progress on those. And then the next time I get in the ring with him, I can go even further.
Response. H2 says, who is your favorite active wrestler then of all time?
Favorite active wrestler? I'd say it's probably AJ Styles right now. I mean, his stuff is just, his matches are always good no matter who he's facing. His moves are just always perfect. Like, he never makes mistakes. It's crazy. I don't know. He's one of those guys that I look at, like, try and progress forward. And I mean, I'm still expanding the moves that I want to use in matches. I guess he's one of those guys that I'm looking at to try and move forward. So you might see some new stuff in some future matches from AJ.
Nice. Of course, do have to remember we haven't really seen you for quite a year yet, because it was December of last year that you actually did debut. So.
Yeah, it was. Oh,
could be considered a rookie. So
yeah,
I think we'll see.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like it's weird because it feels like so long ago that I debuted, but you're right, it hasn't even been a year yet. And I don't know, I'm really hoping that before the rookie campaign comes to an end, I can get some gold around my waist, but it's gonna be a struggle. The guys at the top are tough.
Yeah. And we'll touch on some of the opportunities that you've had and come up a little short on later. But
unfortunately.
Yes. Most of the time due to other factors that weren't supposed to be in the match. But
outside interference, yeah.
Who's somebody that somebody that you've been in the ring with, maybe only once or twice, that you'd like to get in there with again, that you think it'd be a much different scenario this time we got in the ring with them?
I'd say probably Mark Williams. I mean, when I got in the ring with him in the Adrenaline Championship tournament, it was one of those things where there was some interference and I wasn't really prepared for it. And I think now that I know kind of the Outlaw style and what they're going to do in every match, and I've seen them some more, I think it's one of those things that even if there was interference, I might be able to overcome. So I'd like to get my hands on him again.
Nice. So do you say Shawn Michaels is your favorite wrestler of all time then, or is there somebody else that you put up in that category?
I'd say Shawn's definitely in my top three. I mean, Undertaker's definitely up there. And then I'd say Undertaker and Shawn are top two. I mean, just like we were talking about the legends earlier. I mean, it's it's hard to put anyone above those two, in my opinion.
I think I'd have to agree. I might change this up a little bit, but Gunshot says, who do you think is the greatest backyard wrestler of all time? Because in my opinion, that goes to Wicked J.
Greatest backyard wrestler of all time. I don't know. I mean, before I debuted, I didn't even know backyard wrestling was a thing.
Right.
It was one of those things where I was approached and like told that I could come and do this. And I was like, I didn't even like know that was possible. Like I didn't know you could do that. So then, and I mean, even then I'm still not huge into like a bunch of backyard wrestling. Like not because I don't like it, because I think some of it's super cool and like some of the stuff they do is crazy. But I'm just trying to watch the guys that are at the top so I can not steal, but I can learn from them and I can get to where they are because that's where I want to be.
Good response, anyways. H2 says, I know I definitely want to work with you at some point. Maybe after When Worlds Collide 2 and you sign your full-time contract with NWF Adrenaline.
Some confidence right there that NWF's gonna stay in business. I like it. But no, yeah, I would love to get in the ring with H2 at some point. I mean, he's great in the ring, and I know that he's gonna try and do anything that it takes to win it. And When Worlds Collide 2, him and TZ are gonna do everything that they got. They're gonna give 110% in that match, and I'm hoping I can sign a full-time contract after that.
We're a few minutes short of the half-hour mark, but if they have any other questions, then put them in the chat section. I'll get to them during the show, but we'll just jump right into the interview otherwise.
Perfect. Let's do it.
So let's start off with what first got you interested in wrestling?
Wrestling, like I used to watch with my mom and like my older brother, and I would only watch it when I was at their house. Because like when I was at my dad's house, he would always be like, "Oh, like don't watch that. Like you're never gonna like do that or whatever." So I'd only watch it at my mom's, and I was there. Like I would either be there for Raw or for SmackDown, so I'd be able to watch once a week. And I would just always look forward to it. It was one of those things that like that was gonna make my week. It was a good episode. So like that's what got me into it, was just watching it with my mom and brother when I was younger.
Nice. I asked about BYW origins, but you pretty much went into that one already. So first got you into YouTube wrestling, as we'll call it.
Yeah. No, and I mean, yeah, I was on a baseball team with some guys who were in YouTube wrestling, and they approached me and said, you know, you can come out and do this. Like, we'll put you on our show and whatever. And I debuted in December. I mean, it was one of those things that like it was out of nowhere. Like I didn't expect it to happen or like even know it could happen. And I mean, I'm really glad that it did, because now wrestling is a big part of my life. So.
Right. Let's jump in a little to character origins and then your development from there. How in a way did you come up with the name Jack Brown? What sparked that name?
So my favorite like non-wrestling athlete I'm a huge Steelers fan, and Antonio Brown is my favorite Steelers player. So I was looking at it and I was like, all right, I can take Brown. And then my middle name is actually Jack. So I took that, and it was my grandpa's name. So I took that and then just put it together and got Jack Brown.
Nice. Of course, when we first seen you debut, we've seen a little bit of a different look from you then compared to what we see from you in the ring now. You're wearing the sweatpants pretty much back then compared to the shorts that we see now. What into the decision of the change for that?
It was one of those things where when I debuted, I was still trying to figure out who I wanted to be and what my character was. And I was an amateur wrestler for 12 years. I started when I was 5 years old until I graduated high school. And I kind of took the style from that. We wore those fight shorts to warm up. And it was just one of those things where I was like, this is what my background is already, so why not just transfer it into the ring, my next step. So it was a pretty easy transition once I actually put some thought into it.
Right. Let's jump in, talk about some of these matches that you have had. Let's start, of course, with that debut match. We'd see Jason Page actually set it up, according to the storyline-wise, for Jacob Riley to have a test pretty much against him as you debuted against Jacob Riley.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you the first time being at the show, in the building, I guess you could say? And then, of course, mixing it up with those two guys in that match.
You know, it was intimidating at first because I mean, here's Jason Page and Jacob Riley, and I've got to come in and debut. And I mean, I guess I end up beating him, but it's one of those things where I came in and I was intimidated. It was my first time in a match. It was my first time that I was actually gonna fight a person like this, and it was a good experience. It was a good learning experience, but I was definitely intimidated. I was nervous for sure.
Of course, in that match, we'd see at the end of it, an F5 took out Jacob Riley, but he wasn't the only one to get one of those that night.
No, he was not. That was definitely the highlight of that night. I mean, like I said, I was nervous coming into it, but be able to end it F5ing Jacob Riley, and then when Jason Page got into the ring and I could F5 him too and just walk out on top, it was a good start to my career.
Yes. All right. The next time we'd actually see you really on BCW television was at WrestleVersary 2 as part of the Race for the Case match.
Yeah.
Walk us through what that match was like for you to be a part of.
You know, it was crazy because my first match, I come in and it's 1-on-1 against Riley, and they're like, "All right, you're going to be in the Race for the Case," and it's Mike Miller and Tommy Zachary and Zeke Johnson and 2 or 3 other guys. So there's like 6 or 7 guys in this match, and I'm like, all right, I've been in one match, and I'm gonna go in a ladder match for the Race for the Case. It was again, I mean, they expected big things out of me. I was nervous going into it, but once I got in the ring, it was a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
Got some big moves in there and made a good effort, but I guess at the end, Mike Miller came out on top, and nothing I can do about it now.
Right. So the next thing I want to touch on, what was it like for you to kind of sit back and watch and not be a part of One Worlds Collide last year?
You know, it was hard because it was an event that everyone was talking about and they were all excited for, and they were talking about who they were going to be in the ring against. But I was glad that I just got to be able to sit back and watch at the end of the day, because I got to see how everyone was in the ring, and I could learn from what their characters were doing and what their moves were like. And I can build myself up to where I'm ready to be in the ring at One Worlds Collide 2 this year and put on an even better show.
Fair enough. When we seen you debut in NWF Adrenaline, you went after one specific champion right off the bat. or former champion now, but he was HCW champion at the time.
Yeah, no, it was interesting because that was like my first real feud with Mikey.
Right.
And it was one of those things where I feel like I'd have one up on him, and then when the title was on the line, he'd sneak it out and he'd beat me. And then I don't know, it's one of those things where I still feel like I have unfinished business with him. So if we cross paths in the future, it'll be fun to get my hands on him again for sure.
Because of course in the title match it did take a low blow shot with the title.
Yeah.
Dirty moves for him to retain the title. So
yeah, that was just the first time I got screwed out of winning a title.
yes, that showdown too. All right. The next big thing we'd see a part of is we seen H2 announce it first. I want your opinions on the whole spectrum. We'll go over the matches individually in a minute, but the NWF Adrenaline Championship Tournament. What was your thoughts when H2 came out and announced that they were doing a tournament for that championship?
You know, I thought it was a cool way to actually make sure that the right person won it instead of just throwing 2 guys in a match or 6 guys in a 6-pack challenge. Because really, when there's that many guys in the ring, it's hard to know if the best guy actually won. So I thought it was a good idea from H2 to do, and I was definitely glad to be part of it so I could have my opportunity to win more gold, maybe on a more level playing field this time.
Right.
But definitely didn't draw an easy path to try and win.
That you did. We'll jump into that in a minute. So Gunshot wants to know, who would you rather face, Tommy Zachary or Mikey Nitro? If you had that?
I mean, I said I have unfinished business with Mikey, but I've been in the ring with him so many times. I feel like I'd love to get in the ring with Tommy. I've never had a match with him. I mean, I've been in the ring with him with the Race for the Case, but I feel like a one-on-one match with him would be a lot of fun. It'd be a good way to progress, for sure.
Right. All right. So as we've seen the first round come and go of the NWF Adrenaline Championship Tournament, the last match of the first round would be you and Jason Page in what not only I, but other people have said was the best match pretty much of the entire tournament. So what was your thoughts of, first of all, drawing Jason Page as your first round opponent, who was at that time around a year as
I can see you. I can't hear you.
do we got me now?
Gotcha.
There we go. Sorry about that. My computer decided it wanted to freeze up for a second there.
We're all good.
But anyway, as I was saying, it's not an old ass computer for that matter, Gunshot. But anyway, as we were going into, what was your opinion of facing at that point in time the 1 year reigning, close to 1 year, reigning BCW World Champion Jason Page, and then your thoughts after the match as well?
You know, going into it, I was just thinking it was kind of my luck. Like I drew potentially the favorite in the tournament in Jason Page, and I was kind of upset about it at first, but then I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, if I go out there and I beat him, then I'm the favorite. I'm the guy to beat. So it kind of turned into motivation for me. So I was going to go out there and do whatever I could to get the 3 count on him and move on in the tournament. And then I guess after the match, when I did get the 3, might not have been on off of an F5, but at the end of the day, it didn't really matter because I was moving on in the tournament. I was happy with that.
True. So what was your thoughts if you'd heard them at the time of many people saying it was their, for the first round at least, was their favorite match of that round anyway?
You know, I saw that. I saw the comments and I saw
A lot of people saying that in the comment section during the live stream.
yeah. And it was one of those things where that was probably my favorite match to have been a part of up to that point. So I agreed with a lot of the people because it pushed me to my limit and it let me show what I could do in the ring. It showed that he had weaknesses in the ring. It was one of those things where it was just cool to be able to get in there and see where my limits were at that point in time.
Gotcha. A certain Jaden Michael Quick says, when I grow up, I want to be Jack Brown.
Hell yeah. I love that, Jaden.
And Gunshot says, awesome snowboard behind you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we were talking about activities earlier, and my snowboard's actually hanging up on my apartment wall.
Yeah. All right. So after you had, well, I'll go into Jaden's comment first, and then I'll get in there. Jaden says, unfortunately, Caden is saying this right now. Hi, Jack Brown, and waving.
Hi, Caden. Yeah.
It's a riot.
Caden's a cool dude.
Yep. All right. So then after you had won and defeated Jason Page, of course, shocker to some people perhaps, in the first round, the second round, you were supposed to face another American Outlaw. It was supposed to be Father Time. So what was your initial reaction or thoughts of planning on going in there and facing Father Time?
You know, again, I mean, my road to the gold was definitely not going to be easy, and Father Time definitely was going to be my biggest opponent that I had faced. Was worried about how I was going to be able to get him down, especially if I could get him up for the F5. But I knew I was going to be faster than him going into the match, so I was going to try and use some of that instead of trying to overpower him like I had against everyone else so far. So it was going to be a little bit of a different match, but I guess we didn't get to see it.
Yeah, which we'll get into in a second. H2 says, Caden likes Jack more than he likes Jaden. And Jaden added on, Caden has been making Jack's entrance for the last half hour. I have failed as a father.
Oh, I love it. Man, that's amazing.
All right. Then as we'd see that second round coming, Father Time would actually come out and announce that he was giving up his spot in the quarterfinals to, of course, Jason Page, which would lead to you actually picking up and delivering an F5, the biggest F5 I think we've seen so far from you, to Father Time.
No, yeah, that was definitely the biggest F5 that I delivered.
Yeah. So then what was going through your mind as, well, of course, you're taking him out, and then knowing that you've got to face Jason Page yet again?
You know, it was one of those things where I got Father Time up for the F5 and I hit it, and I'm sitting in the middle of the ring watching Jason Page make his entrance. And I just spent all this time preparing for Father Time, thinking about how I might have to change the way that I was going to fight, be more of this like fast, agile guy to stay out of his grip. But now I've got to face Jason Page again, and I knew it was going to be a completely different fight from the first time. I had no idea what he was going to bring because I knew he was going to be pissed off. And it was one of those things where I had to adjust on the fly. I had to adjust in the match. I had to try some stuff that I'd never done before. And I guess at the end, it did work out. So,
Right. I mean, when you look at it, you did deliver, I believe, another F5 during the match Father Time. And then, of course, we've seen you could pick up the victory over Jason Page as well.
yeah.
Again. So at that point, you had gotten the better of Jason Page really 3 times if you look back at your debut episode in BCW as well. So
Yeah, he hadn't had good luck with me so far. I mean,
we'll get into
him twice in a match and then beating Jacob Riley, who was his tag team partner at the time. But
yeah. Of course, the second win over Jason Page was by DQ as well. But
yeah.
So I'll get to the comments here real quick before we jump into the semifinals. Jaden says, I got a question as well. Questions, correction. 1, why can't you beat Jaden quick?
Yeah, funny, Jaden.
And 2, who is the one worker you'd want to work with on the EHF roster at a future EHF show?
One guy that I haven't worked with at EHF is I've worked with Jaden at EHF. He's making the joke that he beat me out there.
Yep.
One guy I'd like to work with is I'd say Sedan. I mean, the franchise Sedan he's quick, he's tall, he can do crazy stuff off of everything. I feel like he's just super creative with how he goes through his matches. So he's one of those guys that I think would be a blast to get in the ring with. He put on a great match and tear the house down.
Gunshot asks, when you're not wrestling, do you play 2K at all?
I do sometimes. I haven't played a bunch recently just because I'm super busy with work and school and all that stuff, but I do if I ever get any free time.
Yeah. All right. So, of course, the quarterfinals and semifinals of the NWF Adrenaline Championship Tournament would take place on the same episode of NWF. You would find out after you beat Jason Page in the quarterfinals again that you got the 3rd member of the American Outlaws, of course, Mark Williams, in the semifinals.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where I knew it could happen if the matches fell the right way and if they pulled it out. But it was one of those things I didn't think was going to happen. I definitely thought that either Mark or Father Time was going to lose before they got to face me if I kept rolling. And it was one of those things where I was like, I mean, I've already gotten through 2 rounds of the Outlaws. I can get through a 3rd.
Right.
But it was definitely hard to prepare for. I mean, I knew they were both pissed now, and I knew Mark was going to be doing whatever he could to beat me.
And of course, it wasn't clean. We seen Father Time and Jason Page both, of course, getting involved in that match.
Yeah. Yeah, it was one of those things where I think it was the first time that they saw that they could be beat by someone.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I think I showed that each of them had their own weaknesses that could be taken advantage of, and it's one of those matches where I look back now and I see the things that I could have done differently, but I was happy with my performance at the time because I knew that I didn't lose clean. So I was more pissed at how they had to win than how I lost.
Right.
Can only move forward and learn from that.
Which I'm sure is part of the reason why you said Mark Williams is one of the guys you'd like to get your hands on again in the future.
It is definitely.
All right. A couple things from the comment section. Jaden says, you may have answered this question already, but I'm going to ask the question us workers always get asked. Favorite all-time wrestler, which then he says, ignore my question. I see Hayden asked.
Yeah.
But if you can go ahead and give him the answer if you want to, since apparently Jaden was a little late coming in.
Jaden's always late to everything. But no, my top two are Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. Depends on what match I'm watching, who gets the top notch.
Nice. And then Mr. Awesome in the chat room says, sorry, I'm late, my boys. But Jack, how about that Summer Bash promo package?
Oh yeah. No, the promo package for Summer Bash was amazing. I've got to give it up to him. It was a great promo package, got everyone hyped for the match. We just had to go and tear the house down.
And Jaden says about the question, I wasn't quick enough.
Oh yeah. Got to change his name.
Perhaps. All right. So then after getting knocked out of the NWF Adrenaline Championship tournament, which that was the Outlaws, thanks to the Outlaws, making it so that it was the second title that you didn't quite get your hands on.
Yep.
We would see you get another opportunity at a championship right after that, as you'd be part of what was supposed to be a six-pack, ended up being a six-man challenge match for the NWF World Heavyweight Championship, rather, at Bad Company.
Yeah, and that's one of those matches that you can't prepare for, because you can prepare for each man individually, but you can't prepare to go into a match that you think is going to have 5 competitors, but ends up having 6. So it's you and 6 other guys. And I mean, it's one of those matches where I did everything I could to try and keep guys out of the ring, try and stay in control. But at the end of the day, chaos is going to take over, and whoever can stay out of it the longest is going to win. And that's obviously what we saw. The guy who wasn't in the match for 99% of it came back and rolled in and won. Indeed,
he did. What was it like for you at the end of the episode beforehand, and of course at the beginning of that match, for the 6 of you guys, 5 or 6 of you guys, to team up and take out Extreme?
You know, it was one of those things where I think everyone hated Extreme loser, and we all wanted the belt, and we knew to do that we had to take it off of him. So we thought, why not just take him out of the equation so we can hear someone raise the gold that wasn't Extreme, but didn't work out.
Gunshot asked me where in the world I got this chair from. It's just a chair that we've had, and it's comfortable, so I use it. And Jaden says, what are your goals going into When Worlds Collide 2?
My goals for like wrestling in general, or like goals for When Worlds Collide 2?
We'll see what he says. I'm assuming we will When Worlds Collide 2.
Yeah.
All right. After you were part of that 7-man match at Bad Company, we would see actually both teams, BCW and NWF Adrenaline, trying to persuade you to join their team for the 10-man Final Destination match. What was it like for you to be kind of the pivotal point of a couple episodes of BCW heading into Final Destination, getting all that attention from those 2 teams?
It was kind of cool to be able to see that both teams wanted me on their team, and to see that both teams felt as if I would be the turning point in the match. But it was one of those things where I didn't feel like I owed either of the teams anything more than the other one. I mean, BCW is where I got my start. NWF's where I've gotten my title shots. But I feel like at the end of the day, everything I've done, I've kind of earned. So I feel like I was given an opportunity, but I've also capitalized on that. So it was good to know that my hard work was paying off, and to know that they wanted me, but at the end of the day, I didn't feel like I needed to choose a side.
Which we'd see at first, I think many people thought in the comment section, if I remember correctly during the show, that you had chose Team BCW, of course, because it was H2 that got the first F5.
It was, yeah. I think a lot of people thought that I was going to side with the Outlaws and with Jason Page when I went to go and shake his hand after I had taken out H2, but it was one of those things where I couldn't get them both on my shoulders at the same time because they were standing on opposite sides of the ring.
Sure.
So I just had to go over there and get them to come a little closer so I can get them up.
Yeah. Of course, we'd see you take out Jason Page, but then afterwards, we'd also see you get attacked by a couple of men as well.
Yeah, it was one of those things where I guess they wanted to get their hands on me again. They wanted to prove something, but I guess Nitro and Carney didn't realize that don't start something you can't finish.
Right.
So,
Which we'll get into, but Jaden has actually reworded that question, I guess you can say, and asked a few others. For the show, what are you gunning for When Worlds Collide specifically?
I mean, I think as we've seen, I guess the BCW championship is already up in the main event. The Universal Championship, or not the Universal Championship, the Adrenaline Championship is already in the main event. I guess it's one of those things where I would shoot for gold, but I know the titles are going to be off being defended by someone else. So I'm just right now, all I'm shooting for is to have a match, to win the match, and to move forward and have a job afterwards. That's my goal going into When Worlds Collide.
Said since your match has yet to be announced, anyone specific you're gunning for, a certain title, just fuck around?
I wouldn't say there's anyone specific I'm gunning for. I mean, there's definitely some people I would like to get my hands on, but anyone who wants to step up to the plate is more than welcome.
Nice. And Mr. Awesome says, you're going to F5 Mikey Nitro till he's dead.
Hey, if he keeps coming out and trying to screw me, then that's going to happen.
I mean, Mikey has taken some of the hardest F5s that we've seen, really. So
yeah, he's definitely taken a few bad ones. Double rotation, 2 guys at once. Definitely some bad ones, but it's what he gets. He gets what's coming to him.
So then getting back to the Midwest Rejects for a minute, what was your thoughts or opinions of, obviously you went over the attack, but going into Final Destination knowing you had the two of them in a handicap match?
You know, I wasn't too worried about it because I knew the only reason they had attacked me at the end of the show previously was because they couldn't come out and do it when I knew they were coming. So I knew only one of them could be in the ring at a time. I knew if I could cut the ring in half, I didn't have to worry about the 2-on-1 advantage. And I guess it worked in the beginning of the match and then kind of fell apart after they got to tag in a little bit. But at the end of the day, kind of stuck to my game plan and came out on top. So I wasn't too upset with how that match went.
Right. Jaden says, just so we know who to blame for Jack even being in a ring, who is / are the individuals responsible for training this fella?
I mean, once I got in the ring, the guys that have been training me, Ames has trained me, Jaden has trained me. I've been to seminars. Dollars trained me. Rush Jones has trained me. I mean, I try and go and get as many people's opinion on my matches as I can. If there's a seminar, I try and go to the seminar to learn from people, to see what they think, because everyone has a different opinion, and there's a lot of different ways that work, and it all is about how you want to wrestle and what your style is. So that's the two main guys, though, right now are Ames and Jaden for sure.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to take you back to When Worlds Collide from last year, the first one. What was your, watching it as a fan, of course, since you weren't part of the show, what was your favorite part of the show? And if you could go back in time and could pick a match that you could be a part of, what do you think you would have picked? Or who would you have faced?
If I could go back and be a part of a match, it would probably be I I wouldn't be in the tag match because I think that match was good how it was, but I'd like to get in the ring with Extreme and it was Extreme and Mike Miller if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, it was.
And those are two guys that I would really like to get in the ring with. So I think if that would have been a triple threat, that would have been a lot of fun. Would have been a good match. And it's maybe we'll see something like that in the future. Maybe I'll be able to get singles matches with the two of them.
Maybe. Riley Bates pops in and says, "Hey, just got back from a football game. How you guys doing?"
Doing good. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so we'll jump into that part now. Got a lot more to go over, so not a whole lot, but next time after we've seen you defeat the Midwest Rejects at Final Destination, we would see you actually aim for your own championship gold that you're hoping to obtain, as you targeted, and of course he kind of had to give you some obstacles in the way, Jason Page in the BCW World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, it was one of those things where after I beat the Midwest Rejects, I came out of that match and I was thinking, I've beat Mikey Nitro and Carney any way that they could think possible. I've beaten Jason Page twice at this point, I guess once because one of them was a DQ, so it counts as a win, but I knew he wouldn't accept it. And I was like, I beat him on NWF twice. Why not transfer it over to BCW, put the title on the line, and put myself in the main event at Summer Bash? But I was kind of hoping he would come out and accept the fact that he knew that I was at least equal to him and would give him a challenge, but I should have seen him throwing some obstacles in my way as before I came out there and got that match. But I worked through it, got through whatever he wanted me to, and eventually got myself into the main event. So
That you did. So once you had gotten past all those obstacles and he finally gave in for the match at Summer Bash, what were you thinking going into the match, leading into the match during the day of, or even days before?
It was one of those things where the first two times I faced him, I was kind of intimidated because he's been the champ for so long and he's done all this stuff. But going into this match, I had a sense of confidence because I knew that I had beaten him before. I knew what he was going to bring to the table. And I felt that since that point in the Adrenaline Championship tournament, I had progressed. So I knew I was going to be better. I knew I had more moves in my back pocket that I could use if I needed to. And it was one of those things where I guess he did too. And I guess we saw that during the match. So I felt like I was a lot more prepared for the match than I was the first two times, but I knew it was going to be a war.
It was actually a match that the other two Outlaws were banned from ringside too. So
yeah, and that was one of the big things because the first two matches, kind of in the back of my head, I knew that they could be there, and I guess we saw that with the second match and with the match against Mark Williams. But it was another sense of confidence when I found out that they were going to be banned.
before I touch on the actual match, Jaden wants to know, since we see Jack has a good power and athletic prowess, what are the chances we might see your moveset broaden? That means grow more diverse.
No, I'm definitely working on it. It's one of those things where every time I get in the ring, I try and do something different. I mean, even when there's no one else in the ring and I just have the opportunity, I'll get in and I'll try and do something off the top rope, or I'll try and do a springboard, or just learn new skills to where I can transfer those into a match and turn them into moves.
Nice. All right. So walk me through the actual event of course, Summer Bash and being part of that main event with Jason Page?
You know, being part of the main event was probably one of the best experiences that I've had up to this point. And it was crazy because here I am, debuted in December, still in my rookie year, and I'm in the main event at one of BCW's biggest shows, and I'm going for the title. And it was one of those things where I was like, I know I deserve to be here, so let's just go out there and do whatever I can. And then we get in the ring, and right from the start, he's given it everything he's got, and I'm a little caught off guard at the beginning, but get my feet under me really quick, and we got the match off to a really hot start, which I think wasn't to the advantage of either of us because we were both a little gassed when we got towards the middle end of the match. But I think that just shows how much of a competitor that we both are. And I mean, you saw new stuff from both of us. You saw the Spanish Fly from Jason Page. You saw the Superplex. I mean, just a bunch of crazy stuff that we had to do to keep each other down. And
Right.
It was a crazy match to be part of. It's a match that I watch quite often, so I can go back and analyze where I went wrong and kind of learn from that and move forward.
And definitely say we've seen new moves out of both of your guys' repertoires in that match.
Really. Back to Jaden's question. Yes, I am widening my move set.
Right. So now let's. It may or may not come up again on BCW or at any point in time. But at the end of that match, and people have mentioned it, I believe, either in the live stream or afterwards in the comments, your left shoulder actually was not down as the referee counted that 1, 2, 3.
No, and that was one of those things where during the match, I didn't necessarily notice because, again, at the end of the match, we were both gassed. But when I went back and watched the replay, I definitely do notice that my shoulder is elevated on his leg. So it's one of those things that I don't think I'm going to be able to let go of so easily.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. It's not really a clean finish, so as to speak. Not dirty, but you can't say you had your both shoulders pinned to the mat for 1, 2, 3 count.
Yeah.
That way. All right. So I'm going to do part of that because we've kind of been going over facing Jason Page. But what Riley Bates wants to know what it's like being the lone wolf and where exactly the lone wolf came from.
You know, it was one of those things where, again, like after my debut, like again, I was in the sweatpants and like it was a different look from where I am now. I was trying to think of like who I wanted to be, and I took from the wrestling like how I was going to look, and I was like, I mean, I don't want to rely on someone else. Like, I don't need to use someone else like Jason Page and Jacob Riley when I debuted, or like the Outlaws now. I just want to be able to go out there and beat people up by myself, not have to rely on anyone because there's always a chance that they're going to stab me in the back. And I was like, you know, I'm just going to be the lone wolf. I'm going to go out there. I'm going to dominate by myself, and I'm not going to take any shit from anyone.
Right. H2 says of that finish to that Summer Bash match, not clean, not dirty, but sticky.
Yeah, questionable.
Right. All right. Jaden did say, good talk, gotta feed the little ones, and all 4 are yelling, bye, Jack Brown. Loser. Later, girls.
See you guys. See you, Jaden.
Thanks for coming in, Jaden. Mr. Awesome wants a funny indie/YouTube wrestling story.
Funny indie/YouTube wrestling story. And I don't know. It's it's kind of funny. We've got these jokes where every time we're going to an indie show, or even to somewhere else, or to Coloma to wrestle, it's whoever's driving. If you fall asleep, we always kind of take a picture and make fun of you and post it on Facebook. And it's one of those things where there's kind of a scoreboard going on in the background to see who actually stays awake for the drives and who's just falling asleep in the back. But it's one of those things where it's fun. It's a fun game, and we just love laughing at each other.
Yeah, I think I've seen the latest picture. Mark actually fell asleep.
Yeah, he fell asleep in the back, and I think it was Jason that posted that picture, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. H2 says the Taco Bell ride when I rode with you guys.
Yeah, that was great. There was like 8 of us in the car. We went and spent like $75 at Taco Bell. It's like 1 in the morning. We're driving back from South Bend, and some of the guys can't hold in their bodily functions very well, so the car was a little smelly.
She calls it the big order.
Yeah. No, we waited for like a half hour at the window for our food.
Yeah.
There was like 20 cars behind us. They were pissed.
I'd imagine. Mark got a refill at the drive-through window.
He did. I think that was the first time I've ever seen that happen.
That would be interesting. That's for sure. Riley asked, let me get back to it. Who is a dream match for you to have against somebody in YouTube wrestling?
I mean, in YouTube wrestling, honestly, I mean, you asked me his questions earlier, but I think Navan would be a good match. I think a lot of his stuff is good. I know we've had some stuff with the BTW guys that hasn't been too good, but I think a 5-on-5 style match would be kind of fun with that.
Ooh, that would be interesting. Fancy booking, here we come.
Yeah, I mean, he asked the question, but no, I mean, I'd say Navan. Navan's one of those guys that I like his style in the ring, and I think we could put on a good match.
That would be interesting, either whether it'd be Jack Brown versus Navan McDonald or Jack Brown versus Novin.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
H2 says, welcome to Taco Bell. What can I get for you? Somebody responded with?
Hey, this is going to be a long order.
Responded with, can I get some pussy?
No, that was like halfway through the order. It was so bad. Yeah, we're like halfway through the order, and Mark screams that from the back.
Leave it to, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You'd say Mark did it.
Leave it to Mark.
Leave it to Mark. All right. So, I do have, well, I know you guys are a little bit busy this weekend, so I'll give them a pass here, but we were supposed to see some BCW action this past weekend originally. Look forward to seeing. What's up?
We were supposed to.
We were supposed to. Be looking forward to seeing that next episode of Warzone, since it will be the first one since Summer Bash, whenever that does happen. As we now know, it's supposed to be every week, an off-on between NWF Adrenaline and BCW Warzone.
Yep.
What are you looking forward to partaking in, I guess you could say, in the next few weeks during these episodes?
You know, I'm looking forward to just getting ready for not Summer Bash, we just got out of Summer Bash. When Worlds Collide 2. I mean, it's one of those things where we talked about it earlier. I don't have an opponent yet. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do to get an opponent, whether someone's going to jump me like Carney and Nitro did, or if I'm going to have an open challenge, or have have a friendly challenge with someone who I haven't been in the ring with yet. I think my focus is going to be on that. I don't want to get too caught up on the fact that I didn't get the finish I wanted at Summer Bash, but I think we might have to address that a little bit. And I'm just going to try and move forward and see what I can do at When Worlds Collide 2.
All right. Touch a little more on When Worlds Collide 2 here in a moment. H2 says his sources, he has sources now apparently, tell him Warzone will be up tomorrow.
Well, hopefully his sources are correct.
We'll hope so.
I guess we never know with the technology that is used for Warzone.
Sure. And H2 says, I know who you won't be facing, then puts like a little clown face.
Yeah. No, yeah, no more facing Carney.
Yeah, we all know Carney's bye-bye. So
Yeah. Released from BCW and NWF.
yes. What a bummer. Oh.
Darn.
Right. All right. When looking at the When Worlds Collide 2 card right now, there's not a whole lot of matches that we do know for it. What is your opinion, though, of, let's go over Mikey Nitro, we know has an open challenge that he's thrown out for that show, looking for some gold.
Quest for Gold open challenge.
Yes.
I don't know, Mikey wants to go out there and get gold, but I think he needs to step back and prove himself a little bit. He had the HCW championship and couldn't defend it cleanly. Every time he had to win, he had to go over dirty. And it's one of those things. I think he needs to win a few matches to prove that he can have an open challenge for gold. Plus, I don't know many champions who are going to come and answer an opportunity to lose their title. But
yeah.
We'll see.
So Mikey claims whoever steps up will lose their championship to him. So
we'll see.
Yes. Before I go in further on that, Riley says he's got to go, but it has a last question for you. Which match would you choose? 8 guys from BCW versus you. A no holds barred match against KBW's Cage. Or last but not least, you versus AK-47 from KBW versus the Dark Side from NUW.
I feel like I feel like I'd take the no holds barred match, just because I want to get into some matches that have some crazy stipulations in them. I feel like recently I've been sticking to just your typical singles matches, and then we had the 2-on-1 match. But I think, really the last match that I can remember that we had weapons in was the 7-way for the NWF championship, and I'd like to get in a singles match where I can use some weapons to see what we can do.
That could be a scary thought.
Yeah, it could be a lot of fun though.
That's right.
The one that the weapons are being used on.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back a little bit here to it was last NWF, I think. Just want to get your opinions on the little karaoke, or dance-off rather, I believe it was, that we had. See, I don't bring it up very often, but I thought it was entertaining to see between Jerry Nevada and, of course, Dirtface.
Oh yeah, no, it was definitely interesting. I thought it was one of those things where we had no idea what was going to happen, but I thought it was a lot of fun to watch. It was kind of nice because you're always stressed about your matches and you're worried about what's going to happen, and then those guys go out there and they have a dance off, and it was good. It kind of relieved everyone a little bit, relieved some stress, made everyone laugh a little bit, and brought some fun back into the room.
Right. And just being silly in the chat section, talking about underground pizza because mentioned the dark side and fantasy booking for next year. Anywho, let's get back into When Worlds Collide for a minute, too. You kind of touched on it a little bit, but we talked about the main event. We didn't really say much about winners-wise. What do you see happening for you? Let's do both sides. First, if BCW wins, and then if NWF wins, where do you see going?
You know, at this point, I feel like, we talked about, or H2 brought it up earlier that I could sign the full-time contract. So I feel if NWF wins, I won't have an issue. I know I'm going to be employed after that and be able to go and work for them full-time. And I'm looking forward to that if they do win, because I know they run a tight ship over there. They've got a good show going on. On the other hand, if BCW wins, I guess it's kind of hard to see where I stand there because I have been trying to take the belt off of Jason Page. I have beaten them in the past. I have confronted them in the past. And I guess they did show that they valued me when they wanted me on the 5-on-5 team, but I don't know where that'll put me in their graces when they choose to sign people to the roster after When Worlds Collide 2.
Right. Let's have to wait and see what happens for either side. Either one of them that you lean a little more towards hoping keeps their job?
I would have to say NWF. BCW gave me my start, but NWF just runs. They run a tight ship. Like, they give the guys who earn shots opportunities, and they put you in matches with guys who you have beef with, so you can settle the beef. And it's a great show all around.
Gunshot's got a question, but I'm going to say let's not answer it. He asked, who are you facing in your next match? We don't know, so we'll wait and see.
I don't know.
All right. Jaden did touch on a little bit of your indie career. How have things been going for you in EHF?
They've been decent. Just getting my face out there and being able to be in matches is actually, it's a lot of fun. This past weekend, EHF was in South Bend at the Century Center. I had 2 matches in the same night, actually. So it was good to see that they had faith in me to go out and work twice. It was a lot of fun. I don't always get the results I want. I don't always win, but it's completely different coming from YouTube wrestling, going and trying to make a name for myself in the indies, especially with some of the guys that they have.
Gotcha. Yeah. So where do you see yourself going in the future? First of all, obviously, YouTube wrestling-wise, you plan on having a future with either hoping to NWF or BCW after When Worlds Collide. From that wise, and then from, of course, indie-wise, where do you see yourself going?
YouTube-wise, obviously, just hoping I have a career once I get through When Worlds Collide 2, whether BCW or NWF win. So that's the biggest step, is getting to When Worlds Collide 2, getting a match there, and then moving forward is just making sure that I still have a job. But if that all goes smoothly, then I guess it's back to my my quest for gold. So we'll see how that works out. I guess the only thing you can do there is wait and see, because the outcome of that main event is really what determines the future.
True.
And indie wise, I guess EHF is going to continue to have me back. I know I've been to MCPW in Traverse City. I know they're interested in having me back. I know back in Toledo, I have an opportunity with NOW. I guess I'm going to continue to try and make a name for myself where I am, but I'm also trying to get to bigger, better places and just get a wider base of everyone that knows Jack Brown and know the kind of guy that I am in the ring.
Nice. Somebody asked who your dream opponent would be in YouTube wrestling wise. Who would your dream opponent be? Say, we'll go with WWE first of all, and then you can name any from any other companies as well.
WWE wise, main roster, I would say I'd probably say Samoa Joe. He's one of those guys that is just a badass in the ring, and I think that would be a lot of fun to get in the ring with him. And then Ricochet in NXT, love to get in the ring with him. I would also love to learn how the hell he does what he does. All the flips, words, and all that stuff is just crazy. Like indie wise, I mean, right now I don't think either Kenny Omega or Cody Rhodes probably. I mean, Cody Rhodes is on a hot streak right now, and Kenny Omega is Kenny Omega. So
true. Pretty much all I got to say about Kenny.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't deny that Cody is on a hot streak. He is the NWA World Heavyweight Champion, now the IWGP US Champion too. So.
Yeah.
And after all in.
Yeah. But yeah, those are some guys that are like dream matches for me. That like if I got to that point in my career that's when I would know that I made it.
Right. Gunshot wants to know: would you face Yankee, the Difference Maker, in a Falls Count Anywhere match?
Yeah, I'd face Yankee. I mean, I've seen some of his stuff, and I think he would be one of those guys who would be fun to get in the ring with him. And I guess Falls Count Anywhere would be fun to get anywhere with him and see what happened.
Got a hey Tony from the disease, Jason Atlas now in the chat section. They should be saying hey to Jack Brown though too, not just to me. I'm not the only one here. But anyway, I digress. From that, you mentioned that you'd kind of like to be in some stipulation type matches. Are there any specific matches that you kind of would like to be a part of that perhaps you haven't been?
I mean, I guess I've been a part of a ladder match. I've been a part of like Extreme Rules matches, I guess you could say, with the 7-way. But I mean, really, I just want to be in a singles match, an Extreme Rules singles match to start with. I guess I've been a part of setting up the cage at the Indies. I've seen some cage matches, so I think on the Indies that would be something that I'm interested in for sure. But I think we'll start small and we'll work our way up from there.
Right. Gunshot mentions, since he showed up in the chat section, would you be willing to face the diseased Jason Atlas?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna back down from anyone. I'll face anyone. So I mean, if they want to come up and show up in the ring, I will gladly show up and give them a taste of Jack Brown.
All right. We'll see what else they've got. I've got one more little segment that I do, and I got a part here. I'm going to give you 3 names. I want you to tell me if you were in control of a company and these 3 guys were part of it, which one would be jobbing, which one would you fire, and which one would you push?
Okay.
So those 3 names I'm going to pick are 3 guys that you know pretty well.
All right.
I'm actually going to change one of them up since another guy was in here, and I think it'd be more interesting. Mikey Nitro, since we talked about him quite a bit.
Yep.
Mark Williams. And then the third one's going to be Jaden Michael Quick.
Jaden Michael Quick. All right. We got Mikey, Mark, and Jaden.
Yep.
Yes. All right. I'd push Mikey just because I think he's one of those guys that he had the HEW championship, but I don't think he had a bunch of opportunities when he had it. I'd job Jaden just so I could laugh every time that he got jobbed out, and that we'd have to get rid of Mark.
Ooh. Originally, I was going to put Jacob Riley in there, but since Jaden was in and had some things that he had to say, I figured, let's put him in there. It'd be more fun. All right. Let's see. Hey, Paul Peterson, good to see you in there. That doesn't matter. All right. So who else is somebody that we kind of went over one person from each company, but who is somebody that you want to get in the ring with that you haven't from, you can say BCW, NWF, or anywhere it's in between, huh?
I mean, we talked about some guys from BCW, NWF. I feel like now that I'm meeting more guys, seeing more guys wrestle on the indies, a lot of those guys would be interesting to get into the ring with. But I think one guy that I would really like to get into the ring with, and I think we talked about him earlier, is Mike Miller. I mean, I think we had the conversation earlier, but been in the race for the case match with him, seen a bunch of his matches, obviously being in BCW and NWF, but he's one of those guys that I think there's a reason he won the race for the case, and I would like to show that I'm good enough to compete with that. I mean, I treat that the same way as I would treat a title belt. I mean, there's a reason he has it.
All right. We'll see if he ever gets the opportunity to actually cash that in, because I'm sure that 1 year's got to be rolling around here soon. But
gotta be.
Anyway, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You mentioned earlier one dream match off of a question of possibly 5 guys from, I would assume, between BCW and NWF versus 5 guys from BTW in a Survivor Series type match. You mentioned you'd have seen a little bit of BTW. Could you name who the 5 guys you'd like to see for both teams?
I mean, I could name the BCW NWF guys, but if we were going to do it, I'd let them throw their 5 best, whoever they thought their 5 best were. I mean, it's one of those things where I've seen some of their stuff, but like it was when we were talking about their beef, just so I wanted to like know who they were. So they're not one of those companies that I like go out of my way to watch, and not because I don't like them or like I don't like their stuff, but just because like at this point in my life I'm super busy with other stuff, so I need to focus on my matches and the companies that I'm in. The 5 that I'd say for my side though would be Jason Page, H2, myself, and then I'd throw Father Time and the 5th spot's kind of hard. Probably I can't put all 3 of the Outlaws in there. But no, I'd put in TZ as number 5.
Nice.
So.
Nice. So is there anything else for When Worlds Collide 2 that you're looking forward to besides, obviously we talked about the main event and the open challenge from Mikey Nitro?
I mean, I'm looking forward to the whole event. I mean, matches that are announced already. I mean, obviously the main event is what it is. The open challenge, we'll see who answers it. It could be good depending on who answers that. It's well, what else has been announced right now? I'm drawing a blank.
So am I. Like, I know there's a couple other matches that have been announced. The hair versus hair match was originally announced for it between Varian and Kazu Kid. We did just find out on the last episode of NWF Adrenaline, we will see a rematch for the NWF World Heavyweight Championship as well between Extreme Luchador and
Nate the Great. Johnson. I think if Nate can keep the match clean and Lucha isn't able to get a little dirty in there, I think that Nate will be able to come out on top on that one. It's one of those things where he's been trying for so long and he just hasn't been able to get an edge. Extreme always seems to have an edge up on him, so that's a match I'm looking forward to. And then I'm really looking forward to just see what else is announced. I mean, there's a lot of guys that are looking for matches. I'm still looking for matches. But I think it's going to be a great show from start to finish, no matter what happens. I know that the main event's going to tear the house down. And
yeah, I agree with that. And I know the pre-show will be quite fun as well because I'm part of that. But
yeah, looking forward to the pre-show. Looking forward to all the inductions into the Hall of Fame. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. Appreciate it. I look forward to that. All right. Yeah. I'm doing pretty well. Thank you, Paul. Good to see you in here. How you doing? Paul Peterson is asking that. Oh, we got the Dark Side in. Dark Side says, just getting here, not familiar with Jack Brown. I know James Brown, but I'm interested in finding out more.
Yeah, we've been here learning more for sure.
Yep.
Trying to get everyone educated.
Rewatch more stuff. And make sure you go to BCW and NWF Adrenaline's pages and watch his matches as well. He debuted back in December of last year. Go back to there and you'll find more stuff of Jack Brown in action.
There's plenty of stuff out there.
And if I could say so myself, in my opinion, probably two of his best matches are both with Jason Page. So if you look up the NWF Adrenaline Championship Tournament first round match that they had, and then you look up the Summer Bash match that they just had recently.
Yeah.
You get a good idea of who Jack Brown is.
Definitely two of the best matches I've had, I would agree. Two of the best matches on YouTube I've had.
I give him a little plug here because originally NUW was going to air, they mentioned yesterday that they were going to air their newest episode of Slaughterhouse today at 6 o'clock. I seen that. I talked right away to Navan and to the Dark Side himself and was like, hey, I've had that slot planned for over a month now. So asked them to hold off, and they have decided they're going to hold off till tomorrow night. And Dark Side does promote the main event will be Paul Peterson versus Navan McDonald in a no disqualification match.
Okay. Probably tune in tomorrow night to see that.
Yeah, should be good stuff.
Hopefully H2's source knows that it's not going to interfere with BCW.
Hopefully. We'll have to see what's going on with that.
Yeah, you never know about BCW.
That's true. It helps when we know who's in charge of it, but in certain things. All right. Anything else you want to talk about or go over before we end the show here tonight?
I mean, I feel like we've covered a bunch of stuff. There's nothing that I was thinking about that we haven't really talked about, even if briefly. I can't think of anything.
All right. 6 p.m. live tomorrow night. Yep, that's when NUW's Slaughterhouse episode 13, nonetheless, will be going up. So just a little cheap plug for them for that. Make sure you guys are watching out for When Worlds Collide 2's announcement to be coming out. I believe, from what it sounds like, it'll probably be sometime next month. I won't say a date because there hasn't been a date released, but
Yeah, it should be.
go the way planned. It should be out next month sometime. Beyond that, my next guest on here, I've talked to somebody about it, and it might be 2 weeks from today, but we'll see. It hasn't been confirmed quite yet. So gonna try and we'll see about doing 2 shows a month instead of just 1 a month.
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. All right. I will say now, some people should be happy because I've gotten you on the show that they've been wanting to see for quite a while.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I got to be on. It was a lot of fun.
Happy to have you on. I'm sure we'll have you on again at some point.
Oh yeah, definitely.
As mentioned, it's just the rookie year. We got a lot of things, I'm sure, big things that we'll see happen for you.
Oh yeah.
But besides that, just check and make sure there's nothing else in the chat room here. And I'll check a couple other things real quick before we end this. Also, again, mention NWF Adrenaline, BCW Warzone. Supposed to be alternating just about every week. So we'll see how that goes.
Who knows? We might get BCW and NWF this week because they were late.
True, we might. We might. So be on the lookout for those as we are headed down the road to When Worlds Collide 2.
Yeah, it's gonna be an exciting road for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm betting on it, especially with that main event.
Yeah, gonna be big. Excited to see what happens.
It's gonna be huge because one company will be out of business after that show. So
yeah, that's the crazy part. There's a lot on the line.
yes, indeed, so much on the line. All right. Well then, since we stop talking in the chat section, I think it's a good time to call this one a night. So, thank you again for coming on the show, Jack. Been fun having you on.
Thanks for having me, man. Anytime.
Yeah, more than happy to. And as mentioned, that is, in my opinion, the future of either BCW or NWF Adrenaline, whichever company comes out on top in When Worlds Collide 2. Hello and welcome, Jack Brown. And of course, Tony. This has been Tiger Talks Wrestling. Catch you guys next time.